Hey everybody, thanks for joining me today. Today I'm going to show you how to remove your subpod and relocate it. For me, recently I've been renting for the last 6 months and I've set up this beautiful garden bed at the front, but now it's time, sadly, for me to take it all apart and set it up to a new home. And I know that's common for a lot of people out there that are renting, so usually that's a bit of a challenge. Here's an easy way just to give you an idea of how you can pack it all down and set it back up in a new home. So here are the things that you're going to need: a shovel, a trowel, and just a bucket. First off, I'm going to remove all the contents in the subpod, the worms, the compost, the unfinished food waste, all of it. Just going to simply open it up. This will be a good opportunity to show you how it's all been going on there, and I feel sad to remove these little guys from the home. They've been working so hard. There's a bit of heat there, which means they're working extra hard. There's activity going on there. There's a chicken bone. Oops. So if anybody's got any questions about composting and rentals, it's definitely been my life for the last few years, and it's a bit of a struggle. Oh, check this out. Come look at this. Look at these roots that are coming into the subpod here. And this is one of the huge benefits. Like, I haven't fertilized this bed this whole entire time, and I've probably watered it about 10 times during the last 6 months. And we are in subtropical conditions, so it does rain a fair bit here, but the secret is that this subpod is feeding all the plants around it. And that's amazing. I have a feeling that's from the Chinese cabbage. How did you get up here? Worm hanging out. All right. Look at that. I'm probably going to need another bucket. So if you've got too much compost, you can never have too much compost. But what you can do is just move it onto the top dress, your garden bed. When you're planting your new plants, I always like to put a little bit of compost in there directly in the roots. It's like packing a lunch for your children going on their first day to school. You put in your new seedlings, put a scoop of compost in there, and it just helps them establish their little home. All right, I definitely need another bucket. Probably going to need 3. Look at that clump. A group of worms is called a clue, I believe. Look at that. So somebody told me recently that it's them trying to stay cool when they all get in a clump all together. So they'll sort of share their mucus. Unreal. Whoops. All right. Kill. Here we go. There's a ton of worms here. I don't know if you guys know this, but composting worm can eat their entire body weight food waste or organic matter every single day, and there's probably like over 10,000 worms hanging out here, and it's like a little cafeteria. These guys eat the food waste, and as they travel out, they aerate and they fertilize the soil, and they come back in and eat, and they leave this amazing stuff behind. It's compost, it's black gold, it's full of nutrients. You can just see the roots growing in there already. It's porous, so it lets in air for the roots. I've got some more buckets because I'm just full of compost here. All right, let's really dig in here. So this system's been going for about 6 months now, and what you'll notice in your first month or so with Subpod is the worms are still building up their population. Typically when you start the Subpod out, you put 2,000 worms, and they'll double in population about every 6 to 8 weeks. And so we always recommend to go slow and steady in the first month, and then slowly as you build up your population, when you get to the 3rd month, and another indicator here is a divider. You've got 3 levels here. So rather than go by months, because sometimes people don't feed their worms, or different climate regions. I like to say level 1, level 2, level 3. And up here on the lid, you can see that level 1, we put 2 to 5 litres. Level 2, we put 5 to 10. Level 3, we put 10 to 30 litres or quarts. And that's when the magic happens. When you've gotten up to the level 3, it's like amazing. That's when the worms are powering, and they're traveling in and out consistently, and they're feeding the soil. And yeah, it's just amazing. I'm really, really excited when people get to that stage. You can see I've been composting a fair bit of meat as well, because I've gotten to that stage, that 3rd level. So I've been putting in, one time I put in 20 chicken necks that were boiled, and it was pretty impressive. In about the first day, I had to put in a bunch of, check that out, a bunch of carbon. That's a lot of worms doing their work. Yeah, the first day there was a bit of smell, but I just balanced it out with a bit more carbon, and it was literally gone in about a week or 2. If anybody has any questions, please just pop them down below. But what we're doing today, if you've just tuned in, is we're relocating the Subpod. You're renting, or you have to move your garden bed, or just your Subpod. This video is going to show you how to take it apart. Go. So many bones. So cool. All right, 3 buckets, and this is really just, it's better than money. Look at that. It's a sweet potato, some potato that's been growing in the compost. Oh, love it. You know that feeling when you're feeling good soil, good compost, that it's porous. You can squeeze it a little bit and it bounces back. It doesn't clog together. And if you can imagine, if you're a little root and you're trying to grow out there, you don't want anything hard, but you also don't want it too soft. So you can have air, but then of course it can hold water, and this is just beautiful compost. Unreal. You don't have to get your hands in here, guys, but I'm a bit of a compost fanatic, so I don't mind. Maybe don't wear a white t-shirt. Buckets of compost to do whatever I want with, which is a pretty cool feeling. Fantastic. It's so much better than any soil you can buy from a hardware store or a leisurescape store, because they have to go through a pasteurization process, which basically heats it up. They do that for pathogens, safety reasons, but it goes past 80 degrees, which starts to kill the microorganisms. With this system, you're allowing to have all those beneficial microbes in there. So it's just, yeah, it's got huge benefits that you can't buy. So share it around with your friends. All right, so that's all empty. I'm pretty happy with that. It's quite deceiving. I've got 3 buckets out of the Subpod. And next off, I'm gonna close the lid because that part is done. And I'm gonna wiggle it. Not yet. I'm going to, thought I would be able to, yeah, wiggle it, I'll get it off. Usually the soil is pretty soft, you can do it, but it's best to just trowel around the Subpod. And yeah, good time to harvest your plants. Yeah. Just get it enough. Oh, I don't want to rip out this tomato. This is a tough decision. What would you do, guys? You had a beautiful tomato just ending its life. replant it, that's right. I'll give you a new home. It's a self-seeded one. It's so cool when you get self-seeded plants. Do you guys get self-seeded plants out there? It happens when you're cold composting and the seeds, of course, don't get eaten by the worms, and they just stay in a dormant phase, and eventually, when the conditions are right, they come out, and self-seeded plants are a lot more hardier. Okay, I need to dig it a fair bit more. This is when a shovel can come in handy. But I think I'm just going to use the trowel precision. So yeah, this little garden bed has been going for about 6 months now, and I'm pretty happy with it. Pretty happy with the amount of produce that I've gotten out of here, and it took me about 2 days or a day to set up, and I haven't really touched it since. I haven't really watered it, haven't really fertilized it, and that's really a couple of things. Having the Subpod here to feed the system around it, also using mulch is a really good tactic, planting out to occupy the space so there's no bare soil. But you can see all the roots really getting, I don't know if you can, but I can definitely feel them as I dig in there. All the roots are just attracted to the Subpod there, and it's constantly, this is a grow hub for your garden. It just basically leaks out nutrients and the worms come back and forth. It's really in there deep, which is good. Kind of sad taking this part, but it'll be set up in a new home. One of the best things I love about gardening is, of course, the growing your own food and getting your own produce right at your back door, but also the physical aspect. I find that sitting at a desk most days of the week, it's not great for your body. You know it, I know it, but moving your body with gardening, getting your hands dirty, it sounds so simple, but it just, it gives me a bit of a buzz feeling. I wonder, if you feel the same, then let me know about it. If I'm just the only one out there. But it's just, especially when you've got soil that's easy to dig into. If I had clay soil, I'd probably not be saying that right now. But it's also just a big experiment when I'm planting. I've done a lot of stuff here that I didn't really think too much about, and I learnt a lot on the way. It's the Chinese cabbage, sole prize. Starting with good soil is a great head start to your gardening journey. That's why we recommend a raised bed. You sort of got a blank canvas. And for this bed, I ended up buying some soil from a local landscape company. And I checked out, I looked at the test and looked at the amount of nutrients that were there and the organic matter. And yeah, just really quizzed it out, because having good soil at the start, and making sure they're high in nutrients, high in organic matter, correct pH and everything, it really just give you a massive head start on your journey. Wiggle. Still needs a bit more. You've started a garden bed recently. Tell me all about it. What were the challenges you had along the way, and What have you learnt? If you haven't started a garden, but you've got an obstacle in your way, what is it? Is it because you're renting and your landlord won't give you the space? Is it that you don't have the time? Is it that you don't have the knowledge? I'd love to know. I think it's, from the people I've spoken to, a big part of it is the fear of getting it wrong or not knowing. And when I think gardening is like with anything, like a big experiment. You can fail on things and that's okay. And you sort of learn best, well, not everyone, but yeah, a lot of us can learn really well in a community, and we've created an online community called Subpod Grow Hub where people can connect there and share their stories. But there's lots of local communities as well, where you can get out and about and connect with people and share all your knowledge. There we go. Just had to come in through there. Right, bit of a wiggle. Lift her up. Don't lift with your back like I just did. And this is probably a really good opportunity to show you the root systems here growing on the Subpod. And yeah, again, if you've just tuned into this video, one of the cool things I noticed about this garden over the 6 months is that I hadn't fertilized it, and I probably watered it about 10 times over the last 6 months. And half of that is because we are in a subtropic region, so there is a fair bit of rain. But the main part is that this is actually being fed. The Subpod is leaching out nutrients. The worms are actually traveling back and forth, which is feeding the garden bed around it. The water and the food waste is also going out into the surrounding soil. So there's this symbiotic relationship that happens with the microbes and the earthworms and the plants around here. And you are physically just feeding your plants every time you compost your food waste, which is really cool. You're turning a problem into a solution. That is also delicious. Okay, so I'm gonna pop that aside. And that's the Subpod imprint. Come have a look here, because I can give you a bit of a closer detail. Some of these roots, you can notice again, all these roots have started to migrate towards the Subpod here. And it's, yeah, very noticeable. Just come into the nutrients. The Subpod's left a hole there. This is a hole in my heart. It can't be filled right now. I'm really, actually, not getting emotional, but kind of am. I have to move this garden bed after 6 months. I don't know if you've ever been in a rental before, but it's, put a lot of energy into a garden bed, then you have to go. It's sort of like about halfway between the harvest as well. It's like, if that's happened to you, just let me know how you've dealt with it. If you had to see anybody to help you get through the process. So here we go. I'm gonna, probably down here is best. Move the wonderful castings. So once your Subpod's out, you're welcome to, if you're moving, look, I could hose this down and then put stuff in there. If you're moving, put some books in there or something else and turn it into a storage container for your next home. And that would be the easiest thing to do. But if you needed to flat pack it, you can also do that as well. And the simple way to do that is to simply unscrew the supporting hinge, lid stay, sorry, we're changing the name. Just screw it back up so you don't lose any bits and bobs. Then these tabs here, just come in here and lift up and just put a bit of pressure at the back. Again, lift up, and pop off. Oops, I'm just gonna move that. And you got a free lid. Anybody who just tuned in, we are relocating my Subpod here, and this is to show anybody that they're renting or they have to move their garden bed in the Subpod. Like, what do you do? Here's what you do. You take it all apart and you set it up again. And now for the divider. The divider, I'm guessing it's going to be a bit tricky because it's sort of set in its place here. Oh wait, no, that was easy. So just pull up the opposite way that you put it in there. You always, if you can, put it on a little bit of an angle. That's, make sure it's not tricky. Still lots of worms in there. I'm going to pop them in a bucket. And now you want to get the 4 sides down. The best way to do this is actually put a bit of pressure. See how I'm pushing that out, and then I'm also pulling this back the front. I'll show you again on this side. So I'm pushing this way, and I'm pulling back, and it'll just slip out really easily. There we go. Welcome to Hose That Down. I am going to move to my new home. See ya.